It is November 29th, 2023. We would like to welcome you back. It's been a little while. Took a little break for the holidays. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Dennis and the Doc. I am Dr. Chim Richards, alongside my co-caster, Mr. Dennis Thamanos. Mr. Dennis, we're coming off an unfortunate week for the Creighton Blue Jays.
Yeah, not a good week. Pretty much short of losing to Sister Jean, I think like everything that could have gone wrong pretty much did.
Nobody got injured.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, nobody got injured.
That we know of.
Yeah, give it a little bit. But yeah, the rest of the conference doing themselves no favors. Xavier with a little bye-game loss to Oakland. We have obviously a pretty poor game in the, what was it even called?
The Continental Tires Hall of Fame Classic.
Okay, yeah, could not get our third championship banner in the rafters. I guess let's get into that game. Oh, and Oklahoma State lost again, right?
Yep. So it was about as bad of a week as it could have been. I think Villanova is the only team that really did themselves favors this week in the conference, or even on our schedule.
Got a nice win over Kansas. The 2-1.
Oh, that was
2-1 in Maui will play. Yeah, it's been a while.
That feels like it was like 3 weeks ago at this point.
2-1 in Maui. 2-1 in Maui will play.
Yeah, that's true. Kansas, I think UConn's gonna kill them.
I tend to agree.
I kind of said it on our national preview, and I didn't commit to it as much as I think I would have liked to. I don't think this Kansas team is very good.
I think they'll find a way to be good in the regular season. They just can't shoot.
Yeah. I trust Self as much as any coach. They have enough talent there. I still think they'll win the Big 12.
I do too.
And I don't even think it'll really be that close. There's not really a second team in the conference that's super impressive. Like Baylor looks a little better than I thought they would.
Houston Cougars.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think Baylor looks really fucking good, and
Walter is every bit as good as they said he might be. So
Walter's a stud, but I think Florida's solid too, honestly, and they still kind of handled Florida, and Walter played like 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Houston has punked almost everyone. Like Utah is close. Plays Xavier on Friday, which I think they'll punk them just because they're so much more physical.
Yeah.
We'll watch that, but yeah.
Bad week. Alabama
lost again. Yeah. Your marquee conference matchup will be number 15 Creighton hosting unranked Alabama.
Yeah, that did not go the way I thought it was going to go.
No.
You're going to look at it and say Colorado State was the toughest test of our non-con, and well, to segue into that, it was a fucking disaster.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone talked about how there was too much shooting on this team to have the true brick press like you saw a few times last year. Turns out there's not.
Now we have, the most frustrating part of this game was we have seen this exact script 15 times.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the exact same score that we lost to Georgetown by, because I thought we finished with 48 in that game too, in the Big East Championship.
I'll just investigate.
Yeah, but God fucking damn, it happens every year.
Georgetown's 73-48, so we actually got 4 points better.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, they had said it was 77. Colorado State was 77.
This was 4 points better. Colorado State was 69.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought they were in the 70s. Admittedly, I did not. I was listening on the radio to that game in the second half, driving back from Thanksgiving dinner. I did not get to actually watch much of it, which is probably for my best interests.
Yeah, I watched most of the first half and then tuned in periodically in the second half. And
I watched it on fast forward the next morning. So
it never gave me much of a reason. Now that our Lord and Savior Matthew Loves Ball is dead and gone.
Oh, that's a shame. That's such a shame.
It is, yeah. And PSC highlights?
I don't know that one.
Okay, it's same thing as Matthew Loves Ball.
Sure.
Yeah, the big two have been axed by Tucker and Fox. So.
What can you do?
Voting Democrat in the next election. Despite it. Despite Fox Sports.
You're doing it just to back your...
We're going to create a Patreon, and every cent you donate is going to the DNC.
But, it's not correct. Like, what I'm about to say is not even worth mentioning, and yet I'm going to mention it. Do we have a championship games problem?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the last four
bright.
we've played in, if you count like the Elite Eight as a regional final, which you do because you cut down the nets after you win that. Yeah, what the hell? We won. The last one we won was 2018. It was the Virgin Islands Classic, I think, but the best team we played in it was Clemson. So
was 2018? Oh yeah, I was gonna say we
2018.
lost the Virgin Islands in 22. So because we've lost what Big East champ, or we lost this Elite Eight, 22
Big
Big
East
East
championships.
championship, Maui,
and
20
Elite Eight.
yeah, Elite Eight.
So it's 5. Oh no, because the Virgin Islands in 22 we lost in the semi to Colorado State.
Yeah,
That's why we had to play SIU.
21 we lost in the Big East championship.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
2 Big East championships, Maui, Elite Eight, this. I might even be forgetting one. So it's at least 5.
Let's just call it 6 for narrative
Sure.
purpose.
Sixth
And 7.
straight.
And 7, because fuck you again. You put forth 5 bad efforts. 7 bad. Yeah, Maui was fine.
Because I mean, if you could say something like that and say we were favored in what 3 or 4 of those 5. Not the Maui. Were we favored in Maui? We probably
Maui
were.
was close to a pick.
Yeah.
I don't remember who the favorite was, but it was close to a pick.
I mean, even if you say they're all pick'ems, what are the chances of losing 5 50-50s?
Yeah.
You know, what is it, like 6.2%, I think it is.
Yeah. Championship game problem.
Yeah.
Lights too bright.
Yeah, can't handle it.
Insert Jared Allen meme.
So like I said, it's like not really worth discussing because it's different players and it's different circumstances.
7 Nebraska Super Bowl last year.
Oh, right. Yeah, we'll count that
Counts
one.
as a championship game for them, not for us.
It's different players. It's even mostly a different coaching staff. It's entirely different circumstances. So it only really matters or means anything to the fans. But fuck's sake, can you just win? We said it on our conference preview though. Like the monkey's paw this season is we're finally going to win the Big East tournament and then lose in the first
Here's
round.
the Nichols.
Yeah,
Which it's not going to be Nichols. It's going to be my McNeese State Cowboys.
they're going to be better than a 15, hopefully.
Did I or did I not say that was so free?
Oh yeah.
And they're projected to win the conference by like 4 games already.
Yeah.
And I think they're 150 spots higher than second in the conference, and that was talking Southland. There you go.
Yeah. We always get the best analysis you can get here.
That was talking Southland.
So I mean, again, I watched the game back. I have a couple of things I'm concerned about. A couple of things maybe I'm not super concerned about. You had no excuse to be that tired.
No.
Like one day, one game that you basically coasted in the second half of.
Yeah.
And you're that worn down. Like the legs were gone.
Yeah.
You watched that game. I bet if you watched clips of each game, like side by side, that we were jumping higher, that we were running harder Wednesday versus Thursday.
Yeah.
Did they have the team Thanksgiving meal in the morning?
Yeah, maybe.
It was always going to be like a trap game in a sense where you're pretty much at home, expected to win, but a team that's certainly good enough to beat you. I really would have thought we would get up for that game, especially considering they beat us recently enough where we still have players on the team from that game.
Yeah.
We joked, I think everyone did, that like, oh, how are you going to keep 40% shooters down in one game?
That's how.
That is apparently
It was only
how.
6. To be fair, it was only 6.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, how big of a loss is Mason?
Just how important is Mason Miller?
Is he the glue guy this year? I mean, I think you can kind of say, like, yes, he is a really big loss defensively against the right team. Because the difference between him and Trout is becoming...
A parked bus would go by Trout.
It's becoming apparent. But, yeah, I mean, I guess we missed his offense. He missed another guy who at least is speedy and can cut around and maybe get an even more open shot to miss.
Yeah.
It's like some of the looks were contested, but not enough of them to shoot, what was it, 13% from 3 or something terrible like that?
That was 20, almost 21.
21, but we shot like 27% from the field, right?
Something like that. 34.4 from 2, 20.7 from 3.
So yeah, roughly.
Not a math guy. Yeah, 27%.
Yeah, and so I'll take my one positive out of this game. Is Shireman our best player?
Yeah.
Like I think he might be at this point the most immune to a rough game, which is kind of weird to say.
He was 4 of 17 from the field.
Right, but he still at least scored.
Of all the people who took 16 or more shots, though, that was by far the best stat in that game.
I don't know, like, because I guess I'm comparing it to San Diego State, where he did nothing in that game other than miss threes. At least this game he kind of did things.
Yeah, he's still 6 rebounds.
Yeah.
3 assists.
He's looked good in all the other games this season too, so I'm inclined to give him the nod for now.
Yeah, I think we'll have games where between him, Alexander, and Kalkbrenner, it rotates.
Yeah. Because, well, and the thing with Kalk is I think he really does need somebody else to be on.
Yeah, he can't do anything by himself.
No, he's just not that kind of player. And, like, we know that.
Yeah.
He's still a great player, but...
Did have 7 rebounds. Good for him.
Yeah, that's rare.
Yeah. A lot of bricks coming off the rim, so...
Yeah.
Opportunity.
Yeah. I don't know, because, like, he's not built to be a dominant post player. He can't create his own entry. He can't.
Yeah.
The shots are coming from outside, no matter what. He's not going to get you a bucket. You know, we have to be out in transition to get that. You have to have some momentum to get him going. And again, like, that's not a knock against him. There are very few players that I think can do that, and the ones that can will give you as much negative as positive.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He'll be tested a little bit this week. I think it's going to be a lot of active hands on him. Teams are not going to probably make him the focal point of the defense, I would think. But I think that's because scheming out the pick and roll is a lot easier for the opposition this year than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's... And I have this listed as a topic, like, is it time to reevaluate the Ashworth panic already?
No, I say reluctantly. I think there is something to be said for it being a different fit and, like, taking time to adjust. Like, we got our rim pressure last year, like you said, pick and roll, lobs to Kalkbrenner, Nemhard putting dribble pressure on the rim. I don't necessarily see any reason, like, Ashford's small, but, like, I don't see any reason really Alexander and Shireman can't finish at the rim if they can get there.
Yeah.
And so I think offensively it might be more of an adjustment to scheme open our rim pressure through cuts rather than beating guys off the dribble, which despite the last game, we still are a good shooting team. You still have to run us off the 3-point line and respect it.
Yep.
It should be not a huge, like, fix to be able to draw up some more rim pressure, back cuts, screen-to-screen reaction, and I think that can open up the 3-point line. So I'm not necessarily worried about it yet. Like, for as bad as we played, he had an 88-0 rating that game, which is bad, but it also was our third highest, and, like, it went Trout, Kalkbrenner, Ashworth. Like,
Right.
So he still rated better than Shireman that game. Like, he still shot 2 of 5 from 3. Like, if you look at his advanced metrics, like, his O rating last year was a 127.7. This year it's a 122.6. Like, it's not like he's been bad. Like,
Right.
I think it looks different. Like I said, he's a different player than Ryan Nemhard. He's quietly shot 41%, which I wouldn't have guessed that.
Right.
So no, I'm not gonna panic yet. There's cause for concern. It's something I'm looking at, but I'm not panicking and saying bust yet.
Well, you mentioned too different kinds of rim pressure, right? I think the 2020-2021 team learned a lot of rim pressure from the wings, like Hawkins and O'Connell. Like, AOC did a ton of that. Back cuts all over the place. Hawkins would set clever screens for guys to, create interior offense without driving the ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this team will have to learn some of that. It maybe isn't coming as easily as they might have expected, so that's something you kind of adjust with over the course of the season. It might very well take them a few more weeks to figure that out. That's the kind of thing I'm like, okay, I hope we have that figured out by the start of conference play at the very least. Because Route 1, I don't think is going to always work for us this season.
Yeah.
Or if ever. Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat, though. I'm not pulling the ripcord on Ashworth. I even still think he could be the guy we think he's going to be. It's just got to come a different way. It is not going to come easy this year.
No. I'll say, like, for all I think you get a little bit nostalgic. Like, what we had was better. You like trying to hard, like, competition does matter. Like, it won't surprise me if Ashworth's rating continues to drop as we play better teams. And I think it does. I don't know if a rating does account for competition or not, but Nemhard was a 108 last year. Like, Ashworth's, as of now, rates to be clearly better.
Right.
Nemhard's also a 103.6 this year, and that was, I think he was sub 100 before they beat up on Cal State Bakersfield.
He's been inefficient this year. Like,
Yeah.
productive, but
He's
inefficient.
also playing 94.5% of minutes.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Credit to him. He found the one coach that would play him more.
Yeah.
Good.
But
tip your cap.
it shows you, though, how important team fit is, right? Because you might have a guy like Ashworth who is that high of an O rating, right? Who says he's being an efficient player, but at the same time, he's not giving you what you need.
Yeah.
So, roster construct. We've talked about this, and it's how important coaches are, right? I will say, like, because you are of the belief that the in-game coaching, that the talent of the coach matters.
Yes.
Game to game. And I'm much lower on that, I think. But what I will say I'm extremely high on the importance of is talent identification and roster construction. That's where I'll give, like, Dan Hurley all the credit in the world. Clearly, he's got an eye for some of these guys that just jump out of the gym, athleticism.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like, I do know, like, where they've been stashing fucking Samson Johnson for, that he's an all Big East talent right now. You know? So there's a player we haven't mentioned, really, from the Colorado State game yet, and I think that's appropriate, because where the fuck is Trey gone?
Does he lose the rights to his name? He's a bad game Thursday from losing name rights for me.
I was gonna, like, Trey's the guy where, like, oh, he's got that dog in him, right? That's sort of, and it doesn't.
The dog was euthanized.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to come up in a lot of big games, does it?
I will take a little bit. He was bad against Loyola too. It doesn't matter. I'll take some responsibility for this. He was 40 to 50 to 1 to win the Wooden Award on DraftKings and FanDuel, and he was 125 on ESPN Bet. But I was in Wisconsin, not Iowa, so I FaceTimed my ex-girlfriend trying to get her to put it in, and it would not come up. So then I texted a coworker who's also a girl who I'm not on that good of level with to see if she could put it in for me. All this for nothing. He then had 2 bad games, so, like, I'll take some responsibility for that. Like, I probably jinxed him. Like, I probably didn't need to put that much effort into a 125 to 1 future, but you know what? Yeah, I'll so hand up. I'll be better.
There you go, everyone.
No more doing that.
It's very clear who is to blame.
Yep.
But think back to the tournament run last year. Who were our best players in the tournament? It was Kalk and Nemhard.
Yeah.
They had our big games. He didn't.
Francisco Farabello.
Baylor. Played great. The Baylor game, I mean to say, of course. Yeah, little concerned that he has a little bit of a disappearing act every now and then. And I think some of it is teams scheme him out, and it seems to be a little easy to do that, a little easier than I thought it was going to be. I still think he's a great player. I still think he could very well end up on first team All Big East. Probably time to stop the National Player of the Year discussion.
Yeah, what an award took a hit.
Yeah, the lottery pick is probably not happening. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, guys turn into different players come conference play, so we'll see. I'm not going to even entertain the thought of giving up on him, but Rough week.
We could take the. We could be the reactionary pod and say it's a time to bench him for Farabellum.
I don't know if he's the one that most people would suggest to bench for Fran there.
Was it gonna? Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not been good. No way around it. Be better.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think we've actually mentioned this. Like, Colorado State's legitimately a good team too.
They are.
Like you shouldn't lose 21 to them by any means.
That's what like people kept saying like, oh, this Colorado State, they're good. Stop like disrespecting them or the town.
It'd be one thing if you lost by 5.
Right.
Like
you lose that game on like a fucking buzzer beater.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone gives a shit.
If they lose 73 or 68, I'm like, all right, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, losing by 21, not great. Like I do think Colorado State's like a top 20 team. I think they have a very good coach. They're old. Like their top 8 guys are seniors, grad transfers. I also like, I don't want to say addition by subtraction, but I think Patrick Cartier getting hurt in the first like minute actually kind of helped a little because he's good on offense, but he's an absolute zero on defense. He's their 6'8", 220-pound center who like can barely dunk.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, very good offense player, but like a negative on defense, and instead they went to more size, more athleticism. Like, I think that probably kind of helped a little bit.
Yeah. And the question, was it a different look than we were expecting?
Yeah.
Like,
and I think it probably is. Like,
yeah.
I don't think you can ball pressure as hard as they did. Although, to be fair, we were expecting any looks. Did we watch film?
Yeah. Well, they said we absolutely did. Yeah. And I'm sure that's not unusual.
Yeah.
But because I'm sure the coaches are prepared and they give them speeches the night before. But
yeah, I think I will say positive. Like, defense, pretty good. Like,
I'll take 73 to them.
69.
Sorry, I keep doing this.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Like that's a very good offense. Like, I think even last year when they were down, I want to say, as of now they have the 21st offense. Last year's 59th. Like, they're a good offensive system.
Yeah.
You held them to just over 1 point per possession, I guess.
And that's with them getting a hell of a lot of possessions and a hell of a lot of like transition play too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they did miss some threes, but
yeah,
only 5 free throws. Good defense. I don't know. We'll take.
Because you forget too, like it's easier for teams to pile onto you when you're missing shots. Mm-hmm. So that like if you watched Kentucky Miami last night, like every time Miami bricked something, they were out in transition and
what the fuck happened in that game? Miami was up like 6, and then Kentucky was up 25 about 3 minutes later.
They just overwhelmed them.
Yeah,
honestly, it was a team effort. They threw it back at them every time they missed a shot.
Back down from my Kentucky take. Nope.
Not yet.
Nope.
Yeah, not yet. Miami's going to I think they're just one of those teams, too, that's just going to have those games every now and then, especially,
Well, yeah, the analytics hate it.
Yeah.
They never like them.
Yeah.
So,
that was Colorado State. That was 22 minutes of Colorado State talk.
Nice short recap.
Yeah.
Southland.
Yeah.
Your 22-minute Colorado State Southland recap.
That's why you come here. Quickly, I'll touch on this because I just saw it on Twitter like an hour ago. They reaffirmed the field for the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis 2024.
What was the first thing that jumped out to you about that field?
It's not good.
The post.
Oh, the Davidson logo.
That's what I was gonna say. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. I know they got rid of the new Wildcat.
It was still a different Wildcat. Like,
honestly, I wonder if the person just didn't want to go looking for a PNG of it.
He just typed it.
Because that logo must have been from like the 50s.
Yeah, I'm not even 100% sure. It could be like Davidson, like prep college.
Yeah,
like an NAI.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not like I said this a while back, and I think it's only gotten stronger with some of these teams not looking great. Like, we're probably not going to be top 25 out of the gate next year, depending on what we add. Arizona, Gonzaga. Arizona will lose some key players. Gonzaga should probably still be top 20. And then from there, I mean, Indiana kind of looks like shit. Davidson is good, but at the end of the day, they're still, Oklahoma is the definition of mid, like, every year. It feels like it hasn't changed since Trae Young was there.
Are they still undefeated? They're on a nice start to the year, right?
Yeah, but do you expect they're gonna go 9-11 in Big Big 12 play, right? Like, they just are.
Probably, and that probably gets them in.
That's a ceiling, though. That would, I think, but that's a ceiling. West Virginia also looks awful, and then there's Louisville.
Is Kenny Payne the coach?
Yeah, actually, I think so.
Really?
I just don't see them, like, admitting defeat on it.
As the number one. By the way, they played Bellarmine tonight. They're not winning that game.
They're not winning. They might, but probably not.
They're not winning that game. As the number one Kenny Payne fan.
Are they doing? Because the problem is, I'm looking at them like, if there was someone who was looking for an excuse not to fire someone, they are doing just enough to meet that expectation.
Which is the funniest possible outcome.
Right, I'm rooting for it at this point. Like, no, it's not a question of me putting myself in their shoes and saying, what would I do? It's me trying to guess what will they do.
Yeah.
Put your shoes in their shoes. But yeah, I look at them like the field that we were supposed to be in 2020, I think, was better. It was Duke, a then-ranked Ohio State, a then-ranked Memphis, a then not as ass West Virginia, A&M, Wichita State, Utah. Like, that's not much better. This year's field was better, though. Villanova, North Carolina, Arkansas, Michigan, Memphis, Texas Tech, Stanford, Northern Iowa. A little bit better. Anyways, I still stand by my opinion from a few months ago that field is not going to be that good. And it was the question, I forget who replied on Twitter, like, wouldn't we rather play shitty teams next year when we're not going to be as good? I disagree with that.
Yeah, probably. I think, like, playing decent teams is where, like, I think it's not a bad field for what we're going to be. Like,
it's going to be a lot of teams in similar situations.
Yeah, so beat them, and you can have some big bubble victories.
I'd rather play, like, 3 top 10 teams, and, hey, if you pick off one of them, you're in a great position to make the tournament.
Yeah.
If you lose to them all, no harm done. I don't know. I feel like you lose to West Virginia or Davidson, and you're in trouble, right? You know.
We'll see what West Virginia is next year. That's still a very good job, and when their coach doesn't do too silly things in one off season, we'll see. Like, West Virginia was supposed to be a top 15 team this year. Yeah, they were.
By who?
A lot of metrics. They
You
lost,
think
like,
so?
Yeah. They lost like 3 guys and their coach.
Yeah, but they weren't. I don't know.
They had the number 1 rated transfer class. Teresa, Edwards, Mitchell. That was when Battle was supposed to play.
I forgot about him. I mean, I don't know. That's like maybe a tournament team.
If West Virginia was fully healthy this year, like,
yeah.
Everything. Oh, they were picked like 4th in the Big 12.
I don't know. Like Carissa, Perez, I don't know. I think it was a bad roster construction.
Against a good coach, bad decision maker.
Yeah, well, I don't think that doesn't seem like a him team either. Like, that team, I don't think, is playing any fucking defense, whether he wants them to or not.
I think he would have been good with Edwards. I don't know what his infatuation is with, like, bonehead white guards the last few years between McCabe and Carissa.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll move on to chat Oklahoma State. So we're heading down to Stillwater tomorrow night. I was going to make the trip, but been traveling a lot lately, and I really don't want to. Maybe if they had, won some fucking games, I would be more enthused about it.
Yeah, they've not played a top 100 team this year, so surely they're off to a good start.
What do you mean? St. Bonaventure's 106. That's close.
Yeah, that's close.
Yeah, an opening night loss to Abilene. Not the worst loss in the world. Like, that team isn't terrible. I was going to say nobody they lost to is terrible, but that's not true because they lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah. Notre Dame, an all-time funny, I don't know if we've had this conversation, but an all-time funny thing would be Kenny Payne with this Notre Dame roster. Like, Notre Dame's roster is so fucking bad. Like, this is one of the worst power conference rosters of all time. And they still beat Oklahoma State because Shrewsbury's a pretty good coach.
Yeah. Lost to the Bonnies, Abilene Christian, and Notre Dame. Victories over Sam Houston State, New Orleans, and Houston Christian. Murderers Row there.
Yeah.
This team is not very good.
No.
But it's still going to be probably not a blowout.
Probably
not. By any stretch.
It should be a good environment. I think our what we do matches up pretty well with their like roster construction. Like going through their 3-point shooting, not great.
Mm-hmm. They had one game they shot 50%, but besides that,
yeah, I mean they got one. They have one guy 6 for 12. Other than that, their highest 3-point shooter is 350 or 35%.
yeah.
John Michael Wright 9 for 38. Maybe a pass. Maybe one dribble in a mid range, buddy.
No, this looks like I agree. This looks like a team that's going to get funneled into Kalkbrenner if he stays out of foul trouble, which is hardly an if at this point. I think we'll do just fine at limiting their offense. They're a little big, 6'3", 6'3", 6'6", 6'8", 6'10". That's, I mean, for the Big East, that's not crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this roster. If you lose to this team, there are going to be some serious questions. I don't care if it's a road game.
Yeah, I agree. I'd imagine it will be a decent environment.
I'm a little curious about that. I ran into some of their tweets, like, talking about us, and it seems like they're not anticipating a huge turnout.
Yeah.
I think tickets were pretty reasonable last I checked on them. And they do have that kind of weird thing. It's the whole state where, like, Oklahoma has awful attendance for their basketball.
Really?
Yeah, and we played there a few years ago over, like, similar time for Big East, Big 12, and it was fucking empty.
I do kind of remember that.
So I kind of wonder if it's going to be similar. I know Galgaraiba's a little bit better of a crowd. But yeah, I think it could be one of those, like, weird atmospheres where it's home, but it's also a little quiet, so it's not quite, you don't get amped up for those games.
This would not shock me at all if we scored 50 points again.
I think we could win by scoring 50 points, though.
Yeah, I didn't say we'd necessarily lose, but like if you told me this game was 50-48 either way,
Tough,
very reasonable.
Tough shooting environment.
Yeah.
It's a weird gym.
Yeah.
I actually, it's my favorite constructed gym in the country, actually. Like, I really wanted to go this year, but I do not have the energy to do that. And it's one of those, it just feels like a small floor, too. It's kind of got that, like, bandbox build to it where I feel like there are going to be a lot of turnovers.
Yeah. Teams
have a hard time adjusting to it. You get out to a fast start, though, I think you're going to cruise in this game. If we get up 13, 14 to 5 or something like that, I think you'll sleepwalk through this game.
Yeah. Which, we got a big one coming up.
Yeah, never would have guessed that we would anticipate this matchup so much rather than just purely being afraid of losing because of what it would mean for our resume. Now it's like, hey, a win is not so bad for our resume.
A win's probably going to end up quad 1.
Yeah. I think almost certainly, unless they fall off a cliff.
Now, which, to the fall off a cliff point, to be fair, the best team they've beat is number 81 Duquesne.
Oh, I don't think they're good. I just mean, like, how many games would you have to lose in the Big Ten to drop 30 points at Ken Palm?
They could be good.
They could.
They won't out everyone. They haven't won a game by single digits.
Yeah, I don't know. I've watched some of it, and they just, like, Tominaga's good. That rank Most is a perfectly fine big man.
Well, we won't struggle with a white big man valley transfer. I'm sure.
Yeah, no.
Rick Mast comes out and hits like 6 pick and pops to start.
I was going to say, I don't think he's quite got that in his bag.
He's 56% from 2 this year.
Yeah, around the rim.
I don't know where they are.
I mean, you forget. You look at. I remember, like, when I was researching guys for conference this summer, and I'm like, oh yeah, 55% from 2 around the rim. He must play pretty well. I'm like, oh yeah, Kalkbrenner was 71%.
Yeah.
You forget just how ridiculous that actually is.
Tominaga, fucking hate him.
Yeah. But yeah, they it went from a game where, like, winning is going to be losing that game is going to be the end of the world, and winning it means nothing, to it's almost even in the way I would react to it.
I want to win just for, like, it's almost just for me being, like, mad online purposes that a win matters.
Yeah. No, like, if you took the rivalry, the fan aspect out of it, I think I would treat a win.
Well, it's going to be pretty close to a pick. Like, Ken Palm has us favored by 1 right now.
I still imagine the books will drop at around -3 for us. if they were trying to guess where half the money is going to come in, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. I like the matchup for the most part. I think it's a game we win 79-72, somewhere in there. If we lose, it really isn't the end of the world. Last year, I've been adamant on this point, and I'll argue it with anyone who feels like it. That was our either worst or second worst loss in the last decade.
Yeah.
It would not be that this year.
Yeah. Can I get up on my soapbox again about the Super Bowl thing? You know, I tweeted it.
I was hoping you would, yeah.
I tweeted it. If Creighton loses, shut the fuck up about the, it's your Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. That is the most loser talk ever. If it's their fucking Super Bowl and it's such a bad team, then just fucking beat them. What is the biggest game on Nebraska's schedule last year? Yeah. Should you have just won as 14.5-point favorites? Yeah. They beat you. They get to talk. That's how it fucking works.
Yeah.
You don't get to play. And again, Creighton, you have a good team. You've accomplished nothing. You're not some prestigious blue blood program.
Right.
This isn't North Carolina, NC State. You've accomplished nothing.
Well, and I almost hate it more when it is a blue blood and you try to talk down and this is your Super Bowl or whatever. I'm like, who cares? They want you. That's always, they win. They get to spend the next year telling you about it.
Yeah, that's how rivalry games work.
Yeah.
Shut up about it.
Yeah, if you want to send the reply with the last 14 years record where it's just fucking a streak of blue, then fine. You're welcome to do that. But yeah, are we a better program than them? Yes. Are we in a better place than them? Yes. Is it not even it's not even a joke to compare our two schools to each other? It's ridiculous. But they win, they get to talk.
And trying to pretend actually we don't care about the game. Clearly you do.
Right. Do our players care about it?
Yeah,
as well? Clearly not.
Again, to be completely fair, does this game probably mean more to Nebraska than it does Creighton?
It does, but that's not the argument.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that saying it is loser talk.
Yeah.
Don't say it. You sound like a fucking loser.
Yeah.
All right, that's all.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I had my own soapbox about J Skurs that I was gonna do too. I might do that on my own and just tape it for fun. Because I recorded a 25-minute reaction to the Colorado State game on my ride home, and I thought better of it. I'm this doesn't need to hit the airwaves. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, we might get a Dr. Chim exclusive on J Skurs later this week. I got some thoughts on
For
that.
our Patreon subscribers.
Yeah, positive and negative. Because to preview it, I have no problem with anyone who grows up in this state and then went to Creighton being a J-Sker. What am I going to tell you to stop rooting for Nebraska football because you chose the better place to go to school? No, I'm not gonna make you do that. You're going to root for your school's teams. You can root for the teams you grew up with. I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I might have a bone to pick, but...
What if you were born in Omaha and went to Nebraska, Omaha, you grew up rooting, because if you want to root for a college football team, I think you're allowed to.
If you went to Jays games growing up, semi-frequently, then you're grandfathered in.
So, for example, me being from Wisconsin, if I went to Marquette, I would be more than able to root for Wisconsin in your eyes.
Football.
In football, yeah.
I think you would have to disown basketball.
Yeah, I would. I think I'd agree.
Because Creighton played Northwestern basketball my first year here. I'm nope, all in on the Jays.
See, I do a little play both sides, and I've long said if Creighton, Wisconsin play in the tournament, I'll root for the team that's better.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if I agree with that philosophically.
I think your goal as a fan is to get a championship, and if 1 seed Wisconsin plays 8 seed Creighton, I think I have to root for 1 seed Wisconsin.
Okay, I at least get what you're saying. I just don't think I personally could do that.
I think every other time, it does depend a little bit on the team, because the Wisconsin team 2 years ago that was the 3 seed won the Big Ten, was a super fun team to watch. So
yeah.
In that context, I liked that Wisconsin team better than that Creighton team. I've liked the last 2 Wisconsin teams better than the Creighton teams. But my favorite team of all time will still be 2015 Wisconsin.
Yeah, how can it not be? I mean, I'm trying to put it in context for myself. If in 2020, if Northwestern played Iowa State with a chance to go to the playoff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't root for Iowa State just because they were my new team.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go there, so that's not a great example. But I don't know. That's an interesting question. On the same hand, though, like, I don't know. If you lived in Omaha and went to Jays games growing up and then went to UNL, I think you have to abandon Creighton completely.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm sorry that that's calling out. I know for a fact there are prominent members of our fan base who that's true for. Perhaps the most prominent in some way.
You went to Wayne State.
No, not him. Not him. No, Pretty Bird. Pretty Bird's he's the true ambassador of our fan base online. But yeah, we got to get that in there. I'm just.
Are we gonna be doxxed for? Am I gonna be doxxed for saying that?
He's gonna try.
Am I gonna fucking go home tonight and just? It's gonna be like a.
There's just gonna be a paragraph long text.
There's gonna be like a dead rabbit on my door.
Yeah. Oh jeez, that's. We'll tell that story at some point. You know, maybe a year down the line, I'll tell that story.
It's $100.
Yeah. Do you want to do brief CFP discussion?
Yeah, that's a good 10-minute close.
Yeah.
College football playoff.
So we were having some discussion last night in our offline chat.
Yep.
About
which is offline because one of our friends doesn't have an iPhone.
Correct.
So it is offline.
Yeah, we get the green bubbles. Thank you. I was gonna come up with a burner name for him on the spot, and I dropped it. Irrelevant J Skirt. That's good. So, anyways, we're ending the season with 4 12-0 teams. Like, I don't think that's being talked about enough. That's actually pretty crazy, and I don't think has happened in a really, really, really long time.
Not that I remember, no.
If ever. Like, I'm sure the days where conferences were completely segregated and there was no out of conference play, I'm sure it happened. But in the modern era, I can't imagine there are too many times where 4 power conference teams finished undefeated.
No, I can't. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Which you would think sets up for a very easy playoff discussion, but that couldn't really be further from the truth.
No.
Florida State is expected to beat Louisville. That is.
Spread on that?
I was gonna say it is not a guarantee by any means. If I had to guess, I would say 6.5.
That's what I was asking. I guess a touchdown.
But yeah, without Jordan Travis, they are not as good.
It's only 2.5 actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's close to 3, but yeah, 2.5.
I think I'm heading over to our lovely Ameristar Sportsbook shortly after this. I think I'm gonna put in a conference champions parlay.
All right, you should go to Caesars instead and not get fucked on it.
Yeah.
You can probably bum a cigarette off some lady playing slots.
You could do that anywhere. It's Iowa. It's Council Tucky. Florida State's premier win on the season is a neutral site victory over LSU, and have not looked real good in the last few weeks. Even the last couple of weeks that they had Travis, they were in trouble a couple of times. So the question really is it truly win and in?
Yes.
I would like to believe so.
We disagree. It is for instance, saying you want to get the best 4 teams in, I don't think that's true. I don't think it's the best 4 resumes.
Okay, that's absolutely the point I wanted to make, right? Because if you ask me, I hate rankings. I hate talking about them.
I like rankings.
I love them, but I hate that they're so fucked up.
Wait, quick rankings. Did you see the guy who in the AP basketball poll who had Marquette as his 4th highest Big East team?
Yeah, I did.
Hilarious.
That was hilarious. It was the joke, he's going to throw out the first pitch at the Big East tournament this year. That was great. But yeah, I hate shit like that. I hate that nobody has any fucking idea what they're doing when they put these out. You know, UConn Twitter was mad because Seth Davis thought they were the ones that lost to Penn. So he kept putting them too low. The people who do this do not watch the game. The two of us have logged more hours watching these games than any polls. I'd put it any one of them.
Yeah.
They don't take their job seriously, and we get this as a result. Because there's no fucking justification for Ohio State being behind Oregon but not Texas, right? They have to either be in front of both or behind both, I think. But we'll get to that. Rankings are not meant to find out who the best teams are.
Mm-hmm.
they are meant to reward the teams having the best season.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think it's necessarily best resume. Like, that's probably the right way to look at it. But it's who's having the best season. Is a 13-0 ACC season better than a one-loss anything else season? Yes. Like, it just is.
Yeah.
Just by nature of it being 13-0.
So, like, this is going to be a very hard argument to articulate because I use that interchange. Like, I think in a standard AP poll, like for AP poll for basketball, I will try to, like, mix and match best season, best team. Like, I think Oklahoma has had a better season than Creighton to this point. I would rank Creighton ahead of Oklahoma State because I think they're better. And I think you can use the eye test to a point. However, the results on the field have to matter. Like, if not, just don't, like, just...
Then what's the point?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, just say, like, Vegas thinks these are the 4 best teams, go play 4 play. And, like, It goes back to last year with TCU getting out over Alabama. Like, I think Alabama would have been a 12-point favorite, 10-point favorite over TCU.
Yeah, probably.
10-point favorite, and I think wins 8 times out of 10. But,
at
like,
least.
Alabama lost twice. Like, the results on the field have to matter.
Yep.
And so, and this is the biggest point I've been making for a couple of weeks. So, I think the committee has fucked themselves with what they've done.
I agree 100%.
Because, so, in full disclosure, I bet Oregon a few weeks ago not to make the playoffs. Because, and this was pre-Travis injury.
Sure.
So, if you look at it, Big Ten winners in.
Yep.
Which we now know is Michigan. If Florida State won out, they, at the time, were for sure in. I still think they win out, they're in.
I mean, I still think it's 95%.
Yeah.
But.
So, Georgia wins, they're clearly in. And this is where things, like, so much of sports are luck. So, Georgia wins, they're in. Oregon, Texas win, Oregon's in.
Yeah.
However, Alabama beats Georgia, Oregon and Texas get in. There's no way they're putting in, just for a second, look at Alabama, Oregon. There's no way they're putting in a one-loss Pac-12 champ over a one-loss SEC champ who just snapped Georgia's 29-game winning streak.
Correct.
With that being said, there's no way they're putting in a one-loss SEC champ over a one-loss Big 12 champ, that Big 12 champ being Texas, when the SEC champ's one loss is at home to said Big 12 champ. So now what they should have been doing all along was having Texas ranked ahead of Oregon.
Correct.
So that they could say Texas wins out, like strength of schedule, whatever. But now, if you want Alabama in, you have to put Texas in.
Yep.
Or else you are saying results on the field do not matter. Every college football program, if you are scheduling anyone other than Furman, Central Michigan, and Ball State, you're a fucking idiot.
Yep.
Because Texas has the best win of anyone this season, which is at Alabama.
Unless Alabama beats Georgia.
But then
I agree.
This is a real dog chasing tail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if you say, like, again, if Alabama and Oregon, if it's Alabama, Oregon, Michigan, Florida State, like, you're telling Texas, like, cancel all, like, Wisconsin plays Alabama home and home.
Yep.
If I'm Wisconsin and that happens, I'm canceling that game, like, immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, Northern Illinois, welcome. Austin P, come on up.
You're not afraid of the Huskies?
I don't know. It was the first semi-regional team that came to mind. So they have to put Alabama and Texas in.
Yep.
And now they're going to have to explain why
a win Texas over beating Oklahoma
State
yeah.
is better than a win over Washington on a neutral.
Yeah.
Like, the committee needs Washington. Like, the committee would love Washington. Their dream scenario is, what, I guess,
favorites
ideally,
win.
Yes.
Or, well, not favorites.
No, because Washington's a 9-point dog. Which is also, I don't know if I ever remember, because Oregon was a 3-point dog the first time, but it was at Washington, so pick on a neutral.
Right.
The spread has moved 9 points in Oregon's favor after Oregon lost. Oregon lost the first game. Washington has not lost since, and there's no significant injuries. I don't think I ever remember seeing that before.
No, that's as crazy. And it's narrative driven, too. Like, Washington's not as bad as people
I think Washington's a really good bet this week.
Like,
I think Oregon's better, but, like...
If it was 3, I think I'm taking Oregon. 9.5, I'm taking Washington.
Ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
And if Oregon blows them out, will I be shocked? No. But, like...
Yeah, like, I'm going to make the parlay after that. I'm picking Oregon.
Yeah.
But 9.5.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where it's going to be. Again, and I saw this coming 3 weeks ago, which is why I bet Oregon not to make the playoff. How the committee doesn't see this train coming down the tracks, I have no clue.
Maybe, what do you argue and you say, hey, maybe they do just have some integrity and they just put the teams in the order that they thought they should be in?
Maybe.
Like, but if that happens, are they going to leave out Alabama?
Again, though, like, if you're saying the order you put them in, again, this includes Alabama. Like, if the playoffs ended today and it was Georgia and it was Bama, Oregon, like, okay, I can get there for Oregon. Like, if Bama goes and beats Georgia, their argument is we were breaking in a new quarterback. Like, it's a new, like, it's clearly a new system with him. It focuses more on running. Looked like shit for 3 weeks. Like, we figured it out. We're a top 4 team. I'd say, yeah, it's probably true. Like, we have the best coach in college football history. We have the best roster. Like, we have a great roster. We arguably won the hardest division in the country. Like, yeah, seems right.
Any other year, it wouldn't be a discussion.
Yeah.
Any other year, it'd be, after that happens, it'd be Bama 2, Georgia 3.
Yeah.
But not this year.
And the fact that now, if Alabama gets in, goes up to 4, now Georgia's 1 loss is a neutral site to 4. Like, that's insane. And it's also insane that Washington's, like, automatically out for splitting with a team.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy. I don't know.
Well, because the committee has made a couple of points in the last few years, and that's why I'm saying Florida State is not safe if they win. It is, they said it last night, and I didn't even notice they had said it, that they're evaluating without Travis.
Yeah.
Number 2, they love when teams avenge their only loss. It's the nod for Oregon. I don't think Oregon ever gets in over 13-0 Florida State. But you never know, right? It depends on what they start to have to justify.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Could they? I don't think you can get. They need Florida State to lose first and foremost.
That saves their asses.
Yeah,
that saves their asses.
Which is why I'll be rooting so hard for Florida State, just for some fucking chaos.
What the fuck did they do to Ohio State?
Yeah, Georgia's. Yeah.
I don't think there's any justification for them to be 6th. Yeah. I think you could justify 5th, and I think you could justify as low as 9th. There is no justification for 6th.
Because they're behind Oregon, ahead of Texas and Alabama.
Right. So are you really saying their win over Penn State is like?
And their win at Notre Dame.
Yeah, but my point is you have to basically take those and say all of Oregon's wins in the Pac-12 are better.
Yeah.
At Washington and at Michigan is enough to split the hairs. What?
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, you're saying, like, the loss to Washington is better than the loss to Michigan, or the cumulative Pac-12 wins are that much better than Ohio or than Penn State and Notre Dame?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
And then you apply the same logic to Texas, and you go, wait a minute. So the team that beat Bama on the road, they're the only team with a top 10, or Penn State's number 10 now, right? So them and Michigan are the only team with top 10 road wins.
Yeah.
And their loss is a neutral site to number 11.
And by 3 in the last second.
Right. Having Ohio State at 6 makes no sense. If they were 5, 7, or 8, I think justified. 6 makes no sense.
Yeah.
So they're digging themselves another hole. Because now Texas beating Oklahoma State on a neutral field that they'll be favored by 11.5.
It's like 16.
Is it really? Okay. Is enough to jump Ohio State. How?
Yeah. And
if it is, like, then them and Alabama have to move up as a faction.
Yep.
That they could not have dug themselves a bigger hole.
I think you should have kept Ohio State 4, and then you can say
4.
These teams or 5.
Okay. Yeah.
5. And so okay, these teams won, they passed, and fine. You should have done this. Texas, Alabama, Oregon.
I think you could justify leaving Oregon ahead of Alabama. Because Oregon haven't even really played close games since then.
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking, I'm thinking doomsday, and then you're going to say the Georgia win is better than the Washington win, and that's how Alabama gets it.
That would make plenty of sense to me.
If they were thinking ahead, and again, this is maybe we're giving them too much credit.
Sure.
And we see what's going on, and we're trying to craft the narrative, but you had to have had Texas above Oregon this whole time.
You should have.
It gets.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask too.
Not because I think Texas is better, because we see what's going to happen.
Right. Because now you're in a situation, it's the last year of the playoff. I don't think they give a shit if they feel justified or not at the end of the year. Like, if in some way, I feel like they're going to try and stick it to
How
somebody.
funny would it be if they just did the top 4 Vegas teams and just went Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, just like, fuck you guys.
Just do like this, what the computers would have done or something like that.
It's just the PC.
Yeah. But that's the only reason why, again, I'm not saying Florida State is totally safe, because it's their last year picking 4 teams. So they could pick Alabama and say, watch them win the whole thing, and you're gonna, take those words back.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a disaster of a situation if a couple of things happen. Like, it'll be awesome to watch.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for Sunday. But
I was gonna say Florida State could blow them out, but I don't think there's any way a team loses their starting quarterback late in the season, then kills a red and white team 59-0. Just throwing out like a random score, like 59-0 in the conference championship game. Like, I don't think that's possible.
No, it's
like,
sad.
If something like that's happened before, like, don't remember it.
I mean, like, it's not worth addressing, but we haven't addressed the what if Iowa wins 13-10. It's not going to happen, but wouldn't it be funny? Ohio State's path is pretty much...
It's 0.
It's not 0, because it would just be... I mean, it'd be all of Florida State, Oregon, Texas, Bama losing. The only, really improbable result there is Oklahoma State beating Texas.
Oh,
So,
sir, Ollie.
He's great, but I mean, they're not winning that game.
Ollie for 21 and 275.
How much do you think the Big 12 wants Oklahoma State to win that game?
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Just like
You put those results together, though, and you got a hefty parlay.
so the ACC really needs Florida State to win that game.
Desperately.
For conference,
Yep.
for conference prestige, yeah. Yeah.
Unless they want 2 New Year's... Well, they're getting 2 New Year's 6 anyways, because Louisville's locked into the Orange Bowl if they lose.
Yeah. Also, in defense of Florida State, and again, I feel very strongly like if they win, they need to be in.
I agree.
Like, I thought they looked better as the game went on. Like, Rodemaker's not like some dude they found off the street. Like, he's a high-end 4-star recruit. Like, pressed into a rivalry game on the road, hostile environment on 6 days' notice and won.
Yeah.
Like, let's not act like this is some MAC team that now is starting a high school walk-on.
When the spread moved, I think it was from 13.5 to 9.5. So it's not like it was that dramatic either.
And yeah, and like Norvell's a good offense. Like, let's see if they win this game like 21-17. Like, how about we give them time? Like, give Norvell 4 weeks to craft a game plan. Let Rodemaker actually take reps with the ones.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big deal. Like, you cannot make the argument like, oh, we're not evaluating this team. Like, this is a new team. Like, it's still 21 of 22 starters that killed LSU on a neutral site.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they've played...
That's Bama's best win, right? Bama's best win is LSU at home?
Yeah, or Ole Miss.
I don't think Ole Miss is good at all.
You can't tell with the SEC teams this year, can you?
No.
Like, I was going to say I'll be interested to see how, like, them and Missouri do in bowl games, but they don't, that's such a crapshoot now with who's in the portal or who's even bothering to play.
Kind of a paper tight this year.
Yeah, it's the worst year of the SEC in a long time. I think even some of the people who usually ride the dick are admitting that it's pretty bad.
I saw a tweet, and we might have discussed this before, but they've said, like, and I guess this was more when Bama and Georgia looked more human earlier in the year, but that they think the SEC's down because A&M recruited so well and took the talent
You and
away,
Ian told me
and
that
I just
take.
didn't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
like, I kind of agree. Like, I
do
think
too.
it's true.
It's probably a little
I
bit true.
think Texas A&M single-handedly brought down the SEC.
I mean, like, because I'm looking at Georgia too, and like, I would say 8 out of their 12 wins this season have been entirely unimpressive.
Yeah.
Like, beating Missouri was good. They did what they should have done. They beat up on Ole Miss. They beat up on Tennessee. So they're, like, honestly, I would have Michigan number 1 if it was my poll.
I think I would too.
But also they haven't fucking played anybody. Again, like, why is Ohio State getting punished so much for one score road loss to maybe the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Like, I know Ohio State fans like borderline do it to themselves because they freak out after every Michigan game. Like, that was a close game.
It's like Michigan made a 50-yard field goal. You missed a 52-yard, and the touchdown pick in the end zone that I personally think was a pick.
It was. I agree. Like, bang, bang,
Michigan's
but
favorite.
it's...
Yeah. Like, there's an easily... Like, I think if they play that game 10 times, Ohio State wins at least 4.
Yeah. I think if that game goes the way it did 10 times, it's a borderline horse race.
Ryan Day just turns into a pussy every time he plays Michigan.
That's the prevailing judgment, apparently. Like, that stuff kind of pisses me off, too. Like, it was a close game. Like, you didn't lose that game because your coach didn't have the dog in him. You didn't lose that game because your coach isn't an Ohio man.
I'm saying because like you punted on like 4th and 1 at the plus 47.
Oh, okay.
Like that's what
Yeah.
I'm criticizing. Like every time, the last 2 times he's played Michigan, kind of he's turtled up and like punted on like 4th and 2s, 4th and 1s.
Well, I don't know if it's like that or it's just some coaches will coach big games differently when really you shouldn't. I guess. But yeah, they're not losing these games because Ryan Day doesn't care about beating Michigan enough. Like, I'm so sick of hearing that. They're the better team this year and you lost by 1 score.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. You are just not always the best team. But yeah, that said, they should be ranked 5th. I think.
Yeah.
Like, granted, they are not handling teams the way Oregon has. And Oregon, you do deserve a little credit for navigating a much tougher Pac-12 without a fluke loss.
Yeah.
You know, like, a lot of those games you look back at now and say, like, oh, they could have lost that game. Like, oh, playing Arizona, you kicked the shit out of them. Like, hey, that could have been a close game.
Yeah.
Texas, they had a few run-ins, but have been mostly dominant.
Let's say Oregon's not having a fluke, but they were very close to losing at Texas Tech.
That's true.
Back in week 2.
That's true, yeah. And I mean, week 2, like, I don't know.
Say it doesn't matter, and all of a sudden,
Right.
Another very important game involving a Texas school occurred in week 2.
Yep. No, it's absolutely true.
That'd be very funny if they just came out and they're like, "Yo, we completely honest, our cable is out week 2. Like, we did not know that happened."
Those 2 results just not even
We did
considered.
not, yeah. It's just like, what's the logic for putting in Alabama or Texas? It's like, really? It's like,
What happened? Yeah.
Texas won in Tuscaloosa. When did that happen?
That does feel like it basically happened in a different season. But yeah, this is the trap they fall into. That's what I'm saying. Like, nothing is a given. Florida State's best win was week 1.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, since then, like, a narrow victory over Clemson. And, you know, like, this Louisville game is going to be their second best game of the season.
You could have a top 10 Louisville.
Yeah, oh, it absolutely did. Yeah. If Louisville wins that game, you're looking at them and saying, like, hey, maybe they're not that bad.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, maybe we are just underestimating them and they're actually a pretty decent team.
They're 12-1. And I think the loss to Kentucky for Louisville was kind of a fluke. Like, I think they outgained them pretty handily.
Yeah, it was just rivalry game.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. I don't even mean to say, like, oh, they're definitely a fraud now, but that's the way they're going to get treated.
Yeah.
So they could win that game, and it's not going to do them any favors either.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Louisville's 11-1 coming into this week, probably ranked 9th or 10th, that's a lot different for Florida State.
Yeah.
You win that game, and then there's no doubt, like, especially if you beat them up pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, have they ever dug themselves a hole.
And now we root for chaos.
You have to. You have
Oregon, Florida State, Alabama, Texas, Michigan. Root for chaos.
I'll probably put one in with either way the SEC game goes.
Well, those aren't my picks. That's just like that's the ideal chaos.
Yeah. It's probably going to happen, though.
I think Georgia might be.
I mean, I do too, but I mean, that's the closest result, and that's probably 60-40 at worst, so.
Yeah, 4.5, I think, also. So.
Well, all right, that's more college football than we've ever done on this one before, but it was worth it. So, if you dropped off a half hour ago, more power to you. All right, we'll call it a day. We'll be back probably next week evaluating 2 Jays games.
Yeah.
2 games that honestly could very easily define a lot of our season.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll check in next week.